He didn't just hit players, he obliterated them. The man, the myth, the shoulder that changed hockey forever, this is the story of Scott Stevens, and why his hits, somehow, were totally legal. In an era where violence ruled the rink, one man stood above the rest. Not because he scored the most goals, not because he had the flashiest plays, but because he redefined fear in the NHL. This is the brutal, controversial, and legendary career of Scott Stevens, the captain of carnage and the architect of the league's most devastating legal hits. Scott Stevens was born in Kitchener, Ontario, in 1964, a Canadian kid who grew up loving the game and hating the idea of losing. Drafted 5th overall in 1982 by the Washington Capitals, Stevens entered the NHL as a bruising 18-year-old defenseman with one mission: protect the crease and punish anyone who dared get near it. He wasn't just a hitter, he was a smart hitter. He studied angles, timing, body positioning. By his second season, he was already known for his open-ice hits, ones that sent opponents flying and fans roaring. But no one could predict the path of destruction he was about to unleash. In the late 80s, Stevens made his reputation with Washington, but it was with the St. Louis Blues, and later the New Jersey Devils, that he truly found his calling. Carpenter tries to carry the puck through the neutral zone. Bang! Stevens steps up and deletes him. No arms, no elbows, just pure shoulder, right in the chest. That's a hit that makes your soul leave your body. This wasn't just hockey. This was warfare with blades on ice. When Scott Stevens joined the Devils, everything changed. He became captain, he became a champion, and he became terrifying. Under coach Jacques Lemaire, the Devils ran the neutral zone trap, a strategy built to frustrate offenses. And Stevens? He was the trap enforcer. Cross that blue line with your head down, and you'd wake up 2 weeks later wondering what hit you. Kozlov tries a quick cut inside, and Stevens teleports into the hit like a heat-seeking missile. Shoulder to jaw, completely legal. Let's talk about the hit, the one that echoed through every arena. Game 7, Eastern Conference Finals 2000, Devils versus Flyers. Eric Lindros, already concussed multiple times, enters the zone with his head down. And then Stevens locks eyes, loads the shoulder, and unleashes an atomic collision. Lindros drops like a rag doll, and his career is never the same again. The crowd explodes, benches clear, no penalty, no suspension. That hit was clean and absolutely devastating. Some say Stevens ended his career, others say he just played by the rules. Either way, that hit changed hockey. Here's the thing, none of these hits were illegal. No elbows, no headhunting, just timing, power, and precision. But the damage? Unmistakable. Stevens never targeted the head. He didn't have to. Players came to him, and he met them with 220 pounds of controlled violence. He was judge, jury, and full-body executioner. Yet critics argued Stevens' hits were morally wrong, that the NHL needed to change. And eventually, it did. The NHL's concussion crisis, growing concern for player safety, and a shift towards speed and finesse slowly phased out the kind of hits Stevens built his legacy on. By the time he retired in 2004, the league was evolving, but his influence was forever etched into hockey's DNA. He wasn't just a hitter, he was a culture, a signal to every forward. Don't skate into my zone unless you're ready to pay the price. He didn't just change games, he changed careers. Scott Stevens finished his career with over 1,600 NHL games, 3 Stanley Cups, 2,785 penalty minutes, and more unforgettable hits than you can count. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2007. Scott Stevens didn't just hit players, he haunted them. Opponents changed lines, adjusted passes, or hesitated mid-stride, all because number 4 might be looming at the blue line. That's the kind of mental impact most players only dream of leaving on a game. Teammates praised his leadership. He wasn't just captain because of his hits. He was captain because he led by example. Intensity, grit, and a standard that said, "We're not here to participate, we're here to dominate." But let's be real. The legend of Stevens is also filled with fear. Ask Paul Correa. Ask Eric Lindros. These weren't fringe players. They were the faces of franchises, brought to a halt by one man's shoulder. Even today, younger NHL stars watch Stevens' hits and say, "How was that legal?" But back then, it wasn't just legal, it was necessary. The game was a war zone, and Scott Stevens was its general. Stevens redefined what it meant to be a two-way defenseman. He didn't rack up points like Bobby Orr or Nick Lidstrom, but he made every second he was on the ice count. To this day, ask any old-school fan or NHL player who the hardest hitter of all time was, and you'll hear one name: Scott freaking Stevens. Stevens didn't chase highlight reels, he made them. He didn't need your love, he earned your respect, and maybe, just maybe, your fear. If you made it this far, you're built for old-school hockey. Smash that like button if Stevens made your jaw drop. Comment your favorite hit. And subscribe for more hockey breakdowns, top tens, and the best stories from the rink. This was Scott Stevens, the man who hit like a freight train and skated like a ghost.